What exactly are the creatures from A Quiet Place? Where do they come from? What do they want? And why are they here? A Quiet Place quickly became a breakout hit among its release in 2018, with a captivating story and compelling leading family to follow. But one of the most intriguing aspects of both A Quiet Place and its sequel are the creatures known as the Death Angels. But what exactly are they? Well, today, let's dive into it and attempt to explain their origins and why they found Earth as a new home, or at least a hunting ground. The Death Angels, also sometimes referred to as the Listeners by survivors, have been confirmed to be extraterrestrial in origin. Director John Krasinski has confirmed not only this, but has shed some light on a few distinct differences between their homeworld and that of Earth. First, the world that they come from is completely dark, described as a lightless hellscape without a star close enough to illuminate the planet. The planet is bleak, infinitely cold, and a wasteland where any life that does manage to form is immediately either hunted to extinction or carves a place for itself among the food chain. The creatures on this world had to evolve to function without light, hence their extreme sensitivity and reliance on sound. Currently, we don't know if the Death Angels had the highest sensitivity to sound or if this trait was just average on their home world. It's entirely possible that the Death Angels were simply average in relation to other creatures on their planet, but we can't confirm this right now since we've never seen any other alien from this world. More revelations would follow, as the distant planet also had a much stronger gravity than Earth did, so their limbs, armor plating, and skeletal structure had to be able to support this heightened gravitational pull. On Earth, this translated to super strength and incredible durability and speed, since they've been acclimated to a different environment for so long. It also makes them much faster, lighter, and presumably much more athletic than they would otherwise be back on their home world. As a result, their armor plating has grown strong enough to resist all conventional human weapons, ranging from firearms to missiles and even fire. We know that the governments of the world collapsed, implying that they hopefully used the extent of their arsenal to combat the monsters before their ultimate demise. What's interesting to note about these creatures though, in particular, is that they're not hunters, at least not so far as we can tell. The board in Lee Abbott's basement has several notes detailing his research and understanding of the creatures, and one of them notes, as it reads, "Why don't they eat their prey?" confirming that they do not devour what they ultimately hunt down and kill. This has remained consistent between both entries of A Quiet Place, as the Death Angels are never seen harvesting or eating their victims, and mouths to rip apart their victims, as many predators on our own world do. This remains one of the largest mysteries, as if they are not hunting, we are left to wonder what other reason they might have for killing anything and everything that makes the slightest sound. Again quoted from John Krasinski, we know that the creatures are not sapient. They are instead animals who are acting on instinct, and this instinct seems to be to survive above all else. It's entirely possible that they perceive anything that makes noise to be a major threat, and they are designed to attack without hesitation, simply because on their world, inaction might have gotten them killed. This also brings up the question of what do they eat, if anything at all. There is some evidence to suggest that they don't actually need to eat at all, and will not starve for many years. We know that their planet was destroyed far into the distant past, but that the creatures survived on an asteroid fragment due to their incredible durability, perhaps going dormant. They were able to drift through the vacuum of space for years without ever succumbing to the harsh environment, even traveling between galaxies, as confirmed again by John Krasinski. He is on record as stating that they're from another galaxy entirely, and not just another star system within the Milky Way. This doesn't just mean that they've been traveling for years, it means that they've been traveling for hundreds of millions of years potentially. The closest galaxy to our own is the Andromeda Galaxy, which lies 2.5 million light years away from the Milky Way. That means that if we assume they are from the closest neighboring galaxy, which might not be the case, they could be farther, then it would still take 2.5 million years if they were traveling at the speed of light. As we confirmed, however, they were simply drifting on an asteroid fragment, which wasn't traveling anywhere near this speed. So therefore, either that this asteroid had enough food or nourishment to last them longer than humanity has been alive, or that they don't need to eat at all. It's possible that they could have hibernated, or were lying dormant in some other way, but it still doesn't seem as if starving them is an option, at least not any time within human history. When the meteor shower arrived, we get a rough idea of where the Death Angels arrived exactly on Earth. Due again to Lee's research, we know that there were at least 3 confirmed landing sites, one in Mexico, one in Shanghai, and the third in the Abbott's hometown of Millbrook, New York. There could possibly be many more, but these are the ones that he was able to pin down. We also know that 3 Death Angels roamed the town of Millbrook in the year following the invasion, but it stands to reason that several of them gravitated to larger cities and louder environments in order to hunt. The Death Angels have also been known to hunt in packs and form communal bonds between one another, responding to each other's deaths and cooperating with each other. We can also use what we know to deduce which areas were likeliest to survive the invasion based on what we've learned of the Death Angels, namely that due to their dense plating that they are unable to swim. In A Quiet Place 2, we learned that an island just off the coast has survived in relative peace due to their isolation from the Death Angels, but we can take this logic and apply it to elsewhere in the world. If there wasn't any landing site in certain island civilizations, then they would need to be brought in on boats in order to invade, and that there still could be pockets of humanity flourishing. We know that the Eurostar train system connects the United Kingdom to mainland Europe, so this and several other subway systems would have to be choked off in order to save England and Scotland. If the nearest landing site was in Shanghai, then this might have been possible, but we don't know for sure what the status is. The United States military was able to get word around that the creatures couldn't swim in time to ferry 2 boats out of New York, mere miles from one of the landing sites. If communication was still working, then some nations might have gotten this warning in time, but we don't see any direct proof of this in either the Quiet Place movies or any comments by the filmmakers. It's therefore entirely possible, although unconfirmed, that populations of entire countries have survived the invasion. Mediterranean, Caribbean, and Polynesian islands might have been isolated enough to survive the invasion. Some island communities such as Sicily, Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, as well as several others, do not have bridges connecting them to mainline nations where the Death Angels could get to them. Instead, many of these nations rely on ferries or planes to get people and goods back and forth. So long as the Death Angels didn't drift on debris, board a ship, or figure out how to fly, these nations may be safe. We did discover at the end of the first film, however, that they do have another weakness that can be exploited, a sensitivity to extreme high-pitched noises. Regan discovers that the feedback between her hearing aid and the radio could stun the Death Angels and cause involuntary spasms in their armored plating. While undergoing the seizure, the creatures can be attacked and killed, and as far as we know, the Abbotts are the only ones to have discovered this thus far. Since communication systems in the world have been down for years now, it's possible that they're not the only ones who have made this connection, and someone else out there may have successfully killed a Death Angel before. This weakness, paired with entire communities of island survivors, means that the human race might finally have a fighting chance against these extragalactic invaders, though whether or not humanity can successfully fight back has yet to be revealed. But we'll certainly learn more in 2024's A Quiet Place Day 1. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of the Death Angels? Do you think humanity can defeat them once and for all? And how many survivors do you think are left in the world? How many Death Angels do you think landed? And what other weaknesses might these creatures have? As always, my friends, thank you for visiting the channel today, and I hope that you're having a great one.